Good evening. I would like to call to order the June 8th, 2022 regular Tewksbury School Committee meeting at 6 o'clock. At this time, I would entertain a motion to convene an executive session to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with employee groups and/or ongoing litigation, discussion of personnel matters and minutes, and strategy session and contract negotiations regarding superintendent contract.
I'll make that motion.
And second.
And that will be a roll call vote. Mr. Parsons, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Sullivan?
Aye.
Mr. Russo?
Aye.
And Mrs. Biagioni-Smith?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. The school committee will reconvene the regular school committee meeting in open session at 6:30 p.m. immediately following executive session. Thank you. At this time, I would like to reconvene the regular school committee meeting at 6:40 PM. And I will start with our announcement. The June 8th, 2022 regular school committee meeting will be televised and recorded and may be viewed live on Comcast Channel 22 and Verizon Channel 34 or on YouTube tv.com/Tewksbury TV. Under the open meeting law, the public is permitted to make an audio or video recording of an open session at a public meeting. At this time, I would ask if anybody is recording tonight's meeting to please identify themselves. Thank you. Seeing nobody, I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Biagioni-Smith, if you could lead. Thanks. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First, I'd like to apologize for not having enough chairs. Right now, I'm told that the majority of our chairs are outside for graduation, so we pulled together as many as we could.
I think there are some on the way, though.
There are some on the way, thank you. So I do apologize. And with that, it's so fantastic to see all the guests that we have, special guests today, so thank you for joining us. It means a lot to have you here. I would like to start the meeting with ask you to join in a moment of silence in recognition and in observance of the tragic and unexplainable trauma that took place in Uvalde, Texas at the Robb Elementary School on Tuesday, May 24th. I'd also like to recognize this moment of silence in recognition of a longtime gifted and talented she was a third grade teacher and also the principal of our Heathbrook School. She was very well loved, and I'm sure her family's missing her very much right now, for Ross Dorrance. So if you would all just please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you very much. And then moving on, I think we're going to start with our recognitions. Mrs. Regan.
Beginning with Ms. Gail Woods. Right here, make a nice line so we can see all of you. And then we'll just move right down next to Gail, shoulder to shoulder. And we could have our principals and any of our district admin that are going to speak on behalf of our retirees. Come on up and stay on this side. That way, Robin, and put you right over here next to Rosemary. Right. Jason, can you see everybody? All righty. Thank you for being here, retirees, family, and friends. We have 12 retirees being recognized tonight, 5 of them who are with us, and some words will be said about those who could not be here, who may be watching from TV. These 12 retirees share 261 collective years serving and educating our students of Tewksbury Public Schools. Our class of 2022 of our teaching and education staff. And those years, by the way, do not include the coaching and advising and tutoring and summer work that they have done for so many of our students. So I am going to begin. I have the pleasure of recognizing Ms. Gail Blitz, who has invented the term occupational therapist. At least that's what I thought. Gail has served as the district's occupational therapist for 28 years. Gail is not only state certified, but nationally certified as an occupational therapist. She has helped thousands of students grip their pencil, sit up straight, sit on a hokey stool to build their core. I could use a little of that myself. Open their milk, snack, and juice boxes, button and zipper their clothing and their jackets, and certainly many, many, many more advances she has shared with our students as an occupational therapist. But what we're going to miss the most, Gail, do you know? Your generosity, your flowers, your gardening, but especially your homemade jam and your homemade English muffins. We are going to miss you, and we're definitely wishing you all the best. Enjoy your time with your family and out in your garden this summer. Congratulations, Gail.
Hey. Hi, everyone. I'm Felicia Chinanovich, principal of the Heathbrook, and I'm also going to include Gail in my words today with this group right here. Although we are wishing them all the best, the Heathbrook school community is losing an amazing group of educators this year. And if I could just read their names for you. Gail Bliss, we know, occupational therapist, 28 years of service. Deb Bruin, grade 2, 25 years of service. Rosemary Coughlin, case manager, 15 years of service. Donna DePiero, classroom aide, 20 years of service. Mary Kappas, classroom aide, 16 years. Donna Green, kindergarten teacher, 24 years of service. And Mary Ellen Zier, classroom aide, 26 years of service. Well, I could certainly spend lots of time speaking to each member of this group individually. There are things all of these women have in common. Each one has dedicated a tremendous amount of time, energy, and love to the students of Tewksbury. They have shown up each and every day to give their all to the children sitting in front of them. They taught, nurtured, and cared for students during an unprecedented global pandemic, and they did all of this with grace, humility, and compassion. They have touched the lives of so many while building lifelong friendships with their colleagues. It has been such an honor to work with them all, and they will always have a home at the Heathbrook School. On behalf of our school and district, we wish them all the health, happiness, and relaxation in their well-earned retirement. Thank you.
Madam Chairwoman, thank you, and Ms. Regan as well, thank you. Gail Bliss. I recall Gail once saying to me that occupational therapists help people to live life to their fullest extent and providing solutions for success for everyday living and helping students how to arrange their daily activities to maximize their function and productivity. And at some point you were just carrying on, and I think I was stuck in some kind of reverie or something because I kept wondering, is she trying to tell me for my sake all of this, or were you trying to address my posture and pencil grip? But Gail, I know that you are an occupational therapist that was drawn to the profession out of sheer love and joy working with students. It's more than a job to you. It was and it continues to be your calling. And thank you so much for your years of service. Yep. And so to Donna and all of the other ESP aides, first of all, I didn't know that any of you were ESP, that you had that power. I had no idea, and it started to make me really nervous in preparing this, but I'll go with it. Carolyn Riker once wrote, quote, "Kindness, you are the art of equality, the heart of compassion and the soul of integrity. You accept the person for who they are and welcome their truths, hearted and needed diversity," end quote. And I will add that I know that you and each of you practice kindness every day. And even when it took a while for some of us to get it right. So thank you very much. Patrick McAndrews is not here. I was going to say a lot, but I'm just going to say goodbye, tension, hello, pension. This is where your life gets good. And best wishes to you. And last, but certainly not least, and I'm sorry that Rosemary Coughlin's husband's not here, but I probably hope he's tuned into Channel 22, because I intend to say something about that. I hardly really know what to say. Rosemary, you served on the search committee that hired me, and thank you for that. And I'm still paying for that in so many ways. I know that I know that you agonized over this big decision. We all know. You tagged us along each turn to remind us that you were leaving. But now, Rosemary, this is the perfect moment for you to, moment for reflection and relaxation, as well as spending more quality time with your loved ones. And if Rossi were here, I would be saying, I'm so sorry, Masi, and that we are hiring, and just so that you know, you give me a call. And so, Rosemary, are you listening? Because as you embark on your retirement and that journey, there's no doubt that you will be riddled with mixed emotions. And I know that about you. And you'll feel excited about the new opportunities and challenges that await you in the next chapter of life. But at the same time, I have learned that there are no words to describe goodbye. It's always a welcome with you and to so many. So thank you for all your years of service to this community and to our kids. You were instrumental in shaping the special ed programs. We started on this journey 11 years ago, and our programs and our foundation for which they were built came from your passion, and that was for the love of children. So thank you.
Ms. Judy McGinnis could not be with us tonight, so Ms. Kathleen Anderson is going to recognize Ms. Robin Reading.
Surprise.
Robin has been in Tewksbury for 24 years, on 6B the entire time, with me the entire time. Charlene Melly joined us in 2006. When we met in 1997, her passion for science was clear, day one. Her passion for the kids was clear, day one. The friendship that her and I have created over the years can't end. Our children have grown together. The middle school had our baby showers together. We've been through it all. But what she brought to the team was a calmness that we needed. And I appreciate that. I appreciate your passion for the job. Setting up labs was the most exciting and the most stressful. So we would do anything to prepare and be ready for that. I co-taught with Robin actually as a special ed teacher for many years before I switched to history. So I was in there with her each and every day. At the end of each school year, she would actually sing to the class. She's not a singer. But she sang. She didn't start, yes, they did. They did. Yes, they did. They did appreciate you making a fool of yourself. Yes, they did. She didn't start doing that, though, till after I moved out of that class. I was like, I missed that, Robin. But she really was wonderful to work with, and I so appreciate and love her, and I will take with me all the gifts and things that we did together over the years, and I know Mrs. Melly will as well. Thank you, Robin. I love you.
Quickly welcome up the Wynn and the high school leadership team to say a couple of words about their staff who could not be here today.
I'm Andy Long, the assistant principal at the Wynn Middle School, and I'm here to talk about Jamie Pringle, a science teacher who's been 22 years in Tewksbury, started out at the middle school, went back to the high school, went to the high school and then went back to the middle school where he's finishing up his career. Quiet and steady, his calm demeanor is always appreciated by his peers. He handled his own classroom with professionalism and truly cared about his students, which is something that's an administrator's dream. And he will be missed.
My name is Michelle Dick. I'm one of the assistant principals at the high school, and I have the pleasure of recognizing Pat McAndrews and Kathy Stack. Neither could be here tonight. These two people are just so wonderfully dedicated educators, whether it's, caring for the kids in the classroom, which they are outstanding at. They have so much experience, but you could pass them in the hall, a joke, a smile, just makes your day that much better. They are such an important part of our community. They're going to be missed. They help this culture here to be a positive and fun one. So they need to be commended for that. Words can't express how much we're going to miss them. I can stand here and tell you how much, but it just isn't enough. They are so integral to what we do here. So we wish them much health, happiness, and relaxation in their retirement, and we're just going to miss them tremendously. So thank you very much.
Thank you, retirees, class of 2022. Our school committee has some gifts for you to take home, and then our TTA leadership would like to come up and wish you all well in your retirement.
Hello. I want to wish congratulations to the 12 educators retiring this year. All of you have touched so many students of Tewksbury's lives. And on a personal note, I think for all of us, we've loved getting to know, and on behalf of all the teachers and aides, we've loved getting to know all of you. One thing you'll miss is the laughs, because if you couldn't laugh at this job, well, you know. So, but seriously, the good moments and good memories you create for not only the students, but your colleagues are so appreciated, and we wish you such good health and an enjoyable retirement. So congratulations.
Okay, to our retirees, once you're done with the hugs, if you wouldn't mind looking at Jason over here, he's going to take a snapshot that we can post on our website. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Madam Chair and members of the committee, we have a full room packed here with volunteers to our schools as well. Anyone who works in a school knows we depend on the generosity of school volunteers' time. These folks really are the glue that keep our schools alive with enrichment programs, fundraising activities, dances, fun runs, student opportunities in our library, and so much more. So our principals and any of our administrators that would like to speak on behalf of our parent and school volunteers, please come on up, starting with the Dewing Elementary School. Where are Dewing volunteers? Oh, come on over.
Mr. Shakir.
I am so pleased to introduce to you, although you may know many of these, because when you see somebody who spends a lot of time in a school, you realize that they're volunteering in about 6 other places at the, as well. But we have Mr. Jazar Shakir, who's the chair of our school site council, and he and Travis Nevers have kept trying to right our ship and trying to get it going, and brought some wonderful, wonderful thoughts about how to go ahead and be a strong school. Can we combine the creating community and academics? And then we have our four co-chairs for the Dewing Heathbrook Pack, not the Dewing Heathbrook. Oh my gosh. I was getting a little ahead of myself there for a moment. Yeah, the Dewing North Street. We have Mrs. Molly Ginsberg, Ms. Val Ash, Ms. Tracy Tora, and Mrs. Maggie Madden, who you're going to be standing up here for another school, I believe. And then we have Jen Delaney here for who runs our library. Our libraries exist because of parent volunteers, and Molly and Jen organize all of the dozens of other volunteers that come in so that our children have access to books. Our PAC chairs have done everything. I'm still picking. I just wanted to say thank you. We're in the middle of a booster-thon and a big fundraiser, and tomorrow's our big fun run. But today, Mrs. Bosworth and I got slimed because they were hoping to raise $20,000, and at the close of school today, they had raised $36,000. Lots and lots of you. I cannot make a list because I already talked too much. But if I made a list of everything that they did, I'd be here until next Tuesday. With the children and the families and the teachers and the staff of the Dewing School are incredibly grateful for your time, for your energy, for your dedication, for the questions, for pushing back, for asking the hard questions, for being there and for showing up. Thank you so, so very much for being here.
A little off script.
Okay.
Miss Judy and our illustrious pack, we're going to do a 2-for-1 up here. Come on up. Again, can't do it without the volunteers. And I'll speak to Judy first, and then I know I speak for Ms. Chinatovich together for our illustrious pack. But Judy never says no. And I hope you don't start tomorrow. No matter what the situation is, no matter what's happening, she comes in, she assists in the classroom, she helps at recess, she does library, she does coverage. It doesn't matter. She comes in the morning, first thing she does is check with me, and what do you need? That's what do you need? And she does whatever is needed. And she always has a smile on her face. She always does it with a smile on her, like just what she's doing right now. She'll come in even on her day off, which, by the way, is every day. And she truly loves the interactions with the students. I can't thank you enough for all that you do for the Trahan, for our community. Thank you, Judy. And our illustrious pack, we are so proud. And as I said at the meeting last night, can't do it without you. What you have done for us over the last few years for both the Heathbrook and the Trahan communities is whatever you need. I remember having conversations with Anna and a few others when COVID hit. Jay, what do you need? Felicia, what do you need? Whether it's distance disc, whether it's hula hoop, whatever we needed, we're here for you. We're here for the community, we're here for families, and you continue to do that day after day. Whether it's field day, whether it's booster hunt, whatever it is, you are here for both of our communities. And your dedication and perseverance has helped us thrive in both buildings and both communities. And we truly are so proud of all that you've done and can't thank you all enough for what you have done for us. I just can't say anything that I missed, Ms. Jenna.
No, I think you got it covered, but their faces are so familiar to the students and staff at our school, they might as well work at the Heathbrook.
We're hired. But seriously, thank you all for helping out all of our community. We couldn't do it without you, the staff, the student, the family. We all thank you. Thank you very much.
If I could invite the volunteers from the Ryan Pack, Ms. Paige Impink and Stephanie McKinnon up here, or from the Ryan Library, I should say. They're stuck in the back. Let me just start by saying Paige Impink has been volunteering at the school library since 2013. Stephanie McKinnon since 2016. As volunteers, they work with the teachers to support their curriculum. They are responsible for, and responsible is a pretty tough word here, with love. They inventory, shelve our books, add new books to our building library every year. They also manage the other library volunteers and teen helpers. In recent years, they have created the graphic novel section and added to biographies enhanced diversity collections and focused on more contemporary careers such as technology-driven professions. The sports and animals books are still the most popular choice of our students. They have over 15,000 volumes in the library collection and service over 600 students. Our library, and this is said from the heart from Ms. McGinnis, literally would not run without them. Thank you so much, Paige and Stephanie. school.
Christine? Where's Christine? Come on up. Yeah, this is the win. So for the win, we want to recognize the PAC president, Christine Paquette, Deb Johnson, who's not here, and then Deb Contardi, who is here, the treasurer, as well as John Stanton, who's a member of our school council. So the PAC, especially last year, was so motivated to provide some experiences to our students during the pandemic and provided some cultural stuff and some presentations outside that we could all enjoy. The packed lunches, the holiday treats, everybody loved seeing them in the building because they knew they were going to get fed. And then Mr. Stanton also takes care of the, the first impression in front of the win, the flower boxes. They change season to season, does a great job with that, and makes such a welcoming environment. And then just going back to one thing on the PAC, we had our food truck night here a week ago today. It was an unbelievable success despite all there was like, the weather and all sorts of events that we're not going to get into. And they just handled it with such grace, and it went off without a hitch, and we appreciate it so much. So thank you.
So the high school is so fortunate to have Lori Carrieri and Carolyn Gaglione as our volunteers in this building. And when I tell you these ladies do it all, I mean, they do it all. They are what I call the silent engine that runs this school. They do everything, from assisting in the classroom, to laminating, to handing out graduation gowns. I mean, no matter what we need, they always answer the bell. It's just incredible to me. It's like a full-time job, and I'm in awe as to how they actually do this and get this done, and then have families of their own. So we're really fortunate to have them. They are our unsung heroes for sure. Not only do they do what they do for the students, but boy, do they take care of the teachers. Conference nights, you can count on goodies and food and just little sayings of inspiration just to lift you up a little bit. So there's not enough I can say. We are so lucky. Please stay. Thank you very, very much for all your service.
With the retiring of your educators, that's one reason why we do what we do, is because of all of you. Principals, your staff, that's what makes us stay. So, it's really nice. So, thank you.
We'd like to recognize 3 outstanding volunteers at North Street. Lauren, we'd like to recognize for the great work Lauren has done for the North Street School. She's volunteered countless times for a whole variety of school activities, including field trip, classroom experiments, library. In addition, she was in charge of field day, which was a huge success for the students, parents, and the staff totally enjoyed. We appreciate her continued support at the North Street community. Thank you. Andrea, consistent and valuable volunteer in room 12 for this year. She's been part of our library times, field day, as well as field trip chaperone, just to name a few of the many ways she's volunteered at the North Street School. She's well loved by the students and very much appreciated by the staff. Thank you. And Maggie, I hear you have a superpower of volunteering. superpower. Been a huge part of the PAC. She's been part of the book fair, field day, yearbook, just to name a few pieces of her large presence in the North Street community. Maggie's also well loved by the students very much. North Street couldn't do it without you, so thank you very much for all that you do.
Oh, okay. And so at this time, I would open this up to the committee. Does anybody have any comments or things, anything you'd like to offer to say?
Sure.
Yeah. Mr.
Sure.
Sullivan?
Always nice to have the students in here. Equally as nice to always have our teachers and the people that come in every day to volunteer. The other night, a couple weeks ago, we gave out almost $200,000 in academic in athletic scholarships. This is a similar thing in Tewksbury. This is why I love this town, why I'll never leave this town. We are so grateful to have so many good people in this room that care so much, that help our kids. So thank you very much.
Great, and just want to thank all of our volunteers again. Choosing to go into help schools, you are very brave, and our schools are much better for that. So thank you truly for volunteering your time. And then for all of our retiring teachers, and this is one of the meetings I do enjoy, is the retiree one. It's always nice seeing familiar names on this list, and mixed feelings. There's a lot of familiar names on here, but congratulations on your very much well-deserved retirement. I'd imagine you'll miss it, but not too much, and that's okay. Congratulations again, and I hope you enjoy some peaceful, quiet times ahead of you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just add to my colleagues. When I think about sort of what it takes to run a school, I think of, the teachers and the principals, and you sort of, you don't think about sort of the outside pieces of that, of all the volunteers that come in to help. And so to see so many of you in here at our 7 different schools, it's truly an accolade to the community and the outreach that we have here. So thank you for your dedication, your support. And to our retirees, I suppose it's a bittersweet, moment. But really enjoy the next chapter because it's, that next chapter is hopefully going to come with a lot of stress-free moments and relaxation and time to really enjoy your family and loved ones. And it's something that I'm looking forward to in my day at some point in my career and life as well. So congratulations.
Thank you. To our retirees, looking at this paper and looking at the number of years, the dedication, the time that you've put in to our children, to our students, could be doubled probably with the amount of time outside of that. You have the time that you spend in the schools and then the time outside the schools that you're still thinking about them and worrying about them and putting the work in to make sure that they're having the very best experiences as possible. And I am grateful for all of the work you've done and all of the effort you've put into making sure that these kids are getting what they deserve, are getting what they should get, and living through their school time, having the best time possible. To our volunteers, whether it's waking up early in the morning to get to the schools before the staff to set up for breakfasts, to staying late and cleaning up from events, and every single thing in between, I know how hard you work. And however many of you that are here in this room today is such a small percentage of the number of people who step up to help, but it just goes to show that you are worth it. You are valued, you are important, and you are a huge part of what makes these kids' experiences memorable and special. So please keep doing what you do. Please keep stepping up, even when it's hard, even when it's stressful, because you are making a huge difference in everyone's lives. Yeah, love you all.
So to the retirees that are here in the room, as well as the retirees that aren't here, they're all familiar faces to me. They're all familiar names. At least 7 of you have had my children in your classrooms or in your charge. So I know firsthand just what fantastic, amazing, outstanding, spectacular educators you all are. So our district is really, really going to miss you next year. It's impossible not to. I would like to also recognize that over the years, you've formed bonds with the staff in your buildings. You've helped to create a culture that exists in our schools because of who you are, and that is going to have a lasting impression for a long time. And I think for people who haven't spent a lot of time in the schools, they don't quite understand how important that is, and just how important your contribution has been in that way. So thank you very much, and thank you for choosing Tewksbury. And then to our volunteers, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. I can't even echo everything Kayla's saying. But for some of you, it's been more than a decade that you've been in our schools, behind the scenes, just plugging along, and saying that they're the engine, I think is spot on from the high school level there. But I think on behalf of all of us, thank you so much for everything that you do. There's just not enough that we can say to recognize just how spectacular you guys are. So thank you. Okay, so moving on to our next section here. I'd like to introduce, did you want, yeah, I will a minute if anybody does want to leave, because this has already been kind of long for some people. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah,
We
thank you.
welcome you to stay, but
Yeah.
just giving you the opportunity.
Picture taken. This is people giving her to leave, not hijack. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, so next I would like to introduce our new student representative, who will be giving her first student representative report tonight. This is Rania Elwahi. Thank you. Hello and welcome. We look forward to your contribution. We look forward to your participation, and we are all available to you between meetings should you ever have any questions. I hope that you enjoy your time working with us, and thank you for taking on this role. It's a very important work, so the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So before I get going, I want to take a minute to introduce myself as the newly elected student representative. So my name is Rania Awahi, and I'm currently a freshman. I'm involved with a number of activities and clubs around the school, such as international clubs, student council, and I do track as well. I'm very passionate about representing the voices of my peers, and I'm proud to follow in the footsteps of Jack Stadman in this role. Tonight, what I have for you are a few updates on the happenings at Tewksbury Memorial High School. So to begin, I would like to start with the student government updates. So in March, the student council elected new members to be part of the e-board and to take over the roles of the upperclassmen who have left their positions behind. So far, all the student government members have been settling in very well, and they've been getting used to their roles. They've successfully been able to plan several events for the remainder of the year, and they even began to think about several events for next year. Recently, they've been planning the club fair and student orientations for the next year's upcoming freshmen, and along with this, a culture day has been proposed, which entails people wearing cultural outfits to help spread cultural awareness and allow people to see the variety of culture we have at our school. If this does happen, it would happen next year, probably sometime around the beginning of the year. Some club updates include the TMHS Theater Company put on a performance of Mamma Mia on Thursday, April 28th. That was their debut. And they've recently announced their performances for next year. So in the fall, they'll have Radium Girls and a grand night for singing in the winter, and their musical in the spring will be Beauty and the Beast. So some general information I have is, since we're nearing the end of the school year, as you all know, there are many activities, such as next week, the week of June 13th, that'll be finals week, and on this week, students will be taking their final exams. The schedule has been posted, and the list for exemptions, which is a Google form, it was released on Monday, and I'm pretty sure it's due next Monday. Additionally, 9th grade students took their biology next generation MCAS on Tuesday, June 7th, along with today, Wednesday, June 8th. Senior projects began on April 6th, and they were displayed on last Friday, June 3rd, which was the last day of school for seniors. There was a very diverse and wonderful display of amazing senior projects. Additionally, on this day, the Child Care Preschool Center had a move-up day where the children graduated. The last thing I would like to talk about is the senior prom, which was a real success. It happened at Davenport Yacht Club, and there will be a senior cruise along with a senior breakfast upcoming. So this year has been a great one, and Tewksbury Memorial High School has accomplished a lot throughout it. And though this is my first school committee meeting I've attended, I'm really glad to have had this experience. And we're all looking forward to summer vacation and a great upcoming school year. Thank you.
Mr. O'Regan, if you would be able to share a little bit about the presentations.
Our presentation, well, I would love to invite Rania. You do not have to stay for the rest of the evening, so if you'd like to go home, maybe you have a little homework or studying for finals, but you're welcome to conclude. Thank you very much. Nice job.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, Madam Chair, members of the committee, the first presentation we have tonight is regarding our senior project here at the high school. We have Assistant Principal Michelle Dick as well as Mr. Brian Guthrow here with us to talk a little bit about the senior project showcase.
Hi again. Thank you. So Sean O'Leary can't be here tonight because he is sailing the high seas with the senior class, and I'm here. So we put them all on the bus. Some of you have kids that are there. It's a great night. So he wishes he could be here tonight. So I'm sending you his best. So the senior project, wow, what a great thing this is. So for those of you who aren't aware, the senior project, it allows our students to take the skills that they learned during their career here and to actually take the last quarter and go out into the world and put those skills into real life use. So it's in the community, it's in professional or in the trade environment. So we had some kids participate at a law firm, some did some carpentry and some mechanical, some were in the nursing area, and then there were other students who preferred to do a research project, which actually were really very interesting. So we ran the gamut of you know, the topics and the areas in which the students wanted to, you know, further investigate. So this year, we're really proud. We had 197 out of 226 seniors participated in the senior project, which is incredible. I think that's the highest participation rate that we've had, especially coming off. Like it was difficult this year. We're trying to get it off the ground. Well, we thought it was going to be. You know, we've had 2 years where we really didn't have the full senior project in swing, and the kids were just so excited about it. And it was just incredible. So we're really happy about the participation rate. So as I said, students were placed in a variety of positions within our school and community. And of note, we do have a new partnership this year. We partnered with the Tewksbury Police Department this year. That was brand new. And the kids loved it. You should have seen it at the fair. They had pictures of themselves with the radar gun. So I asked, do we get 10 miles over the 25? They said, nope, you go 1 over, we're pulling you over. Okay. They were really cute. They really enjoyed that. So the senior project is available to all students. It doesn't matter the rigor of the courses or where, the path that they took. It's available to every student at the high school, every senior student at the high school. All right, so I'm going to pass it off to Brian Guthrow, but first I want to give him his kudos. He worked tirelessly with the administration this year to make this happen. This was not easy after basically a 2-year hiatus. So thank you, Brian. We really appreciate you. He coordinated with the students to make sure they had sponsors outside of school or inside of school, and he held them accountable to their projects. And it really, the proof was in the fair last week. So I'm going to let him speak about that further.
All right, so we brought in some sample projects, just so you can get an idea. One of the big things we're trying to emphasize I think this was the 5th or 6th year we've done this, we're trying to have a civics component where the students are not only doing something they enjoy, but ultimately there's a benefit somewhere, whether it be in Tewksbury, at the high school, or, some part of society. So there's 2 examples, we actually have 3. The trifold in the back by Elise O'Leary, she's going to Providence College next year, where her minors are going to be in French and Spanish. So she did a research project on bilingual education. She interviewed over 50 of her peers in the building, came up with a series of 8 questions, and she was trying to see the benefits, of being bilingual and how that would impact students as they move into their professional careers. Isabel Salata did a crochet project. She's actually going to donate that to the Tewksbury Public Library. There was an emphasis on environmentalism, but also, as a student who took a challenging course load, it offered her the opportunity to do something that, in all likelihood, she's not going to have the time to do for the next 4 years as she pursues her studies. And there is, I think we have copies for everyone.
For the school committee, yes.
Yeah.
There's 2 versions of that, Brian. Oops. 2 versions of that. No,
Oh, okay.
we found them. This is one version, and that's the other.
Okay.
Do you want me to hand them?
Sure.
Okay.
So this was Sarah Chotke. What she did was she created, it's essentially a science text on DNA, which I know nothing about, being an English teacher. But it focused on women in science. And she created this as a picture book that she's going to distribute to students at the elementary schools in the district so that they have an opportunity to see, some of the impacts that they could have. This was peer reviewed by the teachers in the building. And then also she used students at Lawrence High School, to sort of assess and see what changes she could make. And it's really, the projects, they're a testament to the diverse interests the kids at the high school have. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is great. Any comments or questions, Mr. Russo?
No, I guess maybe the one comment I will just say is we appreciate as a, I don't want to speak on behalf of my colleagues, but as the opportunities that are presented to the kids in our district, it's amazing to me to see how many of those students actually take advantage of those in that situation. And I don't know if it's a part of hey, I'd rather just not be in school, which could be, but I really appreciate that is available to our students and the fact that so many of them take advantage of it. So thank you for sharing this with us.
Ms. Bia Johnny-Smith?
Yeah, thank you. As a parent with younger students, it's really great to see and to start learning about all of the different opportunities that are available once they progress through their educational careers, and being able to take this stuff home and share it with them and say, this is what you get to do, look at. And so I thank you for sharing that, and thank you for making these things available to all these kids. Appreciate it.
And Mr. Parsons?
Yes, I want to steal this as a science teacher. I hope that's okay with Sarah. Thank you, Ms. Dick and Mr. Guthrow, for all your hard work with this. It's great to see the product of a long 12 years of public schooling. It's nice that there's a tangible way we can see that. So thank you for all you do with that program, and thanks for keeping the involvement going up over the years.
And Mr. Sullivan?
Great. Awesome, wonderful program. Seen it for years. Very happy to see we've partnered with our local law enforcement. That's wonderful. I look forward to seeing future enhancements. It was nice to see, I saw kids at sporting events doing a project for Mr. Druin, and what that looks like. I saw some really clever kids take the initiative to do pizza reviews.
Yeah.
So they could go and review pizza every day and turn that into, so it's clever, you know, you first hear that and you're like, but then I watch some of those videos and you realize that, you know, those kids are putting the time and the effort into getting themselves out there in the real world, and it's wonderful. I look forward to how we continue to grow the program moving forward, and other things that we can add where kids can slide right into for that last month or so. Reduces the senioritis too, I think, you know, for graduating kids. So thank you very much.
And I appreciate you coming in tonight, so thank you. And I echo what, you know, my colleagues are saying, but it's a nice way to end school, I think. And I personally am a big fan, as I've spoken with Mrs. Regan in the past, about some of the project-based learning approaches, and this is just fantastic. So I'm a big fan. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Very nice.
Okay. And then we have our Cpac, Tewksbury Special Education PAC.
Is it possible to get our presentation up on the board for everybody?
So it was loaded into the computer, correct?
I don't know if
It is. I saw it. It was in the packet that was posted online.
Let me find it while you're beginning.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, just maybe easier than us trying to explain it.
Yeah, it would be on this one. Sorry, just a moment.
That's fine.
We can freeze the screen.
What's that?
Send it again.
No.
Or you know what, you go to the school committee website, it's in the packet.
We do appreciate you coming in because, and this is a great presentation, so it's worth the wait.
And I want to give a shout out to Sarah Chakate, because I know her and she's a great kid.
Madam Chair, a question to Mrs. Regan.
Tell her that.
Through you, are the Corning and STEAM labs at TPS going to be projected on here?
No, and they're right here, so if you want to, would you like to get started on that first?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to take it out of order while we've...
Well, let's see, if it's in the agenda, we should be able to pull that.
It absolutely is.
So let's do that.
There it is.
There we go.
There we go.
Thank you.
I'm going to go back and sit down.
Thank you for offering. Much appreciated.
So thank you for asking us to present. We're going to be doing an end-of-the-year summary of the Cpac's goals that we set at the beginning of the year, how we did on our goals, and what some upcoming events are.
So we are, as a Cpac, a public body which serves as an advisor to the school committee on matters that pertain to the education and safety of students with disabilities. In addition, the Cpac has a duty to meet regularly with school officials to participate in planning, development, and evaluation of the district's special education programs. If people wonder who can be part of the Cpac, it can be any parent, caregiver, or interested parties, residents, advocates, teachers, etc., who have children on IEPs or 504 plans. And together we work to support each other while raising children with disabilities. And the Cpac hosts meetings and informational workshops regarding special education. Our current board for 2022 and 2023 is there. I'm not going to read everybody's names, but Mrs. Mancini is one of the co-chairs. And I'll read the main co-chairs. Ann Sector is the other co-chair, and Peg Ricardo is the publicity secretary. Goal 1, we set a big goal on this, community engagement. The Cpac will engage in the community by participating in at least 10 community-based events throughout the 2021-2022 school year. Examples of community-based events include open houses, fairs, festival trees, community markets, etc. We met this goal, we are very happy to say. We participated in 7 virtual open houses at the beginning of the year. We're at the Town Safe Halloween event. We had a Wear Yellow for Cpac event. We were at a community roundtable. We held a Meet the Candidates School Committee night, which is our second one. It's always an extremely popular night, very successful. And we had a big, huge event at Strongwater Farm where we brought parents in to see the offerings at the farm that they have for special needs children in town.
So we did include some pictures. You can see the different events that we participated in. Goal number 2 was, through open, transparent, and professional communication, the Cpac Facebook business page will have at least 200 likes by the end of the 2021-2022 school year. The Cpac email list will increase by at least 10%. So we did meet this goal. We actually have over 200 likes on our business page. It's actually growing by the day. We have over 203 follows, which we didn't think to measure because we didn't really look at that too closely, but, and our support group. So we have a Facebook business page where we post our agendas and meeting notifications. We have a Facebook support group that has more, parent support. That membership grew by 10%, and our mailing list also increased by 10%. Goal number 3 is that the Cpac will host at least 4 parent support groups throughout the 2021-2022 school year, and in collaboration with the district, 2 workshops for parents. So the district offered many workshops this year, the Autism Insurance Workshop, an Executive Functioning Workshop, MGH Sale Workshop. Mr. Pelletier, we wanted to acknowledge that he's done a great job including us in decisions regarding workshops and events, and soliciting feedback from us. So we really saw an expansion of different things that the parents felt were very relevant. We also co-hosted and planned the Basic Rights Workshop with Mr. Pelletier. So far we've hosted 3 parent support groups, and we have 1 more planned for June. And then there's some other things we wanted to include that weren't necessarily part of our goals. So this year we celebrated Teacher Appreciation Week by doing a virtual appreciation card. So parents and children could submit a Google form. It generated like an e-card, and it got sent to teachers. So over 100 staff members received at least 1 email card. We also had a meeting with our school committee liaisons with Leslie, who works for the Federation for Children with Special Needs, and we discussed the role of the Cpac and school committee in supporting each other. We also hosted representatives from the Tewksbury Police Department and from Seven Hills at meetings to give information to parents. We participated in the high school principal search committee and the assistant special education director search committee. And we provided guidance and support to the district in regards to confidentiality issues, toileting and diapering procedures, and the home services guide. We have a few things left this year that are coming soon. So June 12th, we're going to have a table at the bike rodeo. June 16th at 7 p.m. here at the high school is going to be our final business meeting of the year. It will also be on Zoom, so you can attend virtually or in person. June 23rd will be our final parent support group. That will be on Zoom only. And then we have several events that we want to try to plan for the summer. Our Strongwater Farm event was very popular, so we wanted to do some more community-based events. So we want to do a visit to the police department, the fire department, and a playground social. We're also in the process of applying for a grant from the Doug Flutie Foundation to bring a communication board to one of the playgrounds in town. Okay, so now I want to do a very special thank you. So we have 2 board members that can no longer serve on the board because their children are not going to be part of the Tewksbury Public Schools. One of them is Maureen, so I'd like to present to you some flowers. Maureen has been with me on the Cpac since the beginning. We knew each other before that. Michelle joined us in the beginning as well, and it's been really great working with you guys on the board. I know you're not going anywhere and you're still going to be volunteering. It's because I'm going to drag you to things no matter what, because you're not really going anywhere. But it's been great working with both you and Michelle over the last few years. I speak on behalf of all the board, the support, the camaraderie. We've all been through a lot together with our kids, with different things that are going on, and we wouldn't be anywhere without you, so thank you. Michelle Haley couldn't be here tonight, but I know she's watching, and I know where you live, Michelle, so Al and I are coming to your house. So, all right, thank you very much. So if you guys want more information, our email address is tewksbury@gmail.com. Like I said before, we have a group on Facebook, we have a business page on Facebook, and you can connect with us there. And then I put the credits slide at the end. Thank you. 2 slides to go for the lovely templates. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any comments or questions?
Yeah, I guess just one question, just for my own sort of awareness in terms of just, I appreciate the information tonight. This is extremely helpful, especially being new on the committee over the last few months. In terms of goal setting for the subsequent year, for next year, sort of how does the Cpac approach that, and sort of, what support can the committee provide, to be able to help you in either coming up with those goals or being able to help move them forward for next year?
Thank you for the question. So we met last year prior to the school year to set our calendar and to set our goals. We would love our Cpac liaisons to support us with that. What we did is we picked the things that we thought would be very important for the organization as a whole. So trying to get more communication, trying to get more publicity. We'll probably focus on similar things, but try to expand those for next year. So we had a meeting with the board to discuss that, and we'll include our liaisons.
Okay, thank you.
Just so you know, our current liaisons are Ms. Biagioni-Smith and Mr. Parsons, but any member of the school committee is free to attend any Cpac meeting they want. We usually have Mr. Pelletier with us. Usually at least one staff member attends, of somebody who's representing teachers, just to keep informed of what the special ed parents in town are feeling and seeing that might be different than what typical, neurotypical parents are seeing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Biagioni-Smith?
No questions. I've attended my first meeting, and I have an update when we get to that at that point, but no questions. I'm looking forward to being a part of it and setting goals and helping, bridge some communication from the Cpac to the school committee and work to do great things.
Mr. Sullivan?
Just like to thank them, as I said earlier, to the other volunteers and PACs. A lot of people don't understand that you're taking times out of your lives, no different than all the other ones that were here tonight. You do it because you love kids, and it's incredibly important work. I was really pleased when I saw the card appreciation. I thought that was a wonderful idea and a good thing that you did for the district. So I wish you well, and thank you for continuing to do that work.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Parsons?
That was such a great presentation. It's a lot of work into that. I just thank you for all that you guys do. I constantly learn from you both working with Cpac. And having a student that's not neurotypical is an experience that is hard to understand unless you see it or you're living it. So I really, really appreciate all that you and the rest of the Cpac does. I have seen that it's not easy. It's been a pleasure growing with you guys as we keep trying to do this thing and get better at it, and I'm looking forward to continuing that work in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't have any questions, but I really do appreciate your presentation, and I really appreciate how much work that you guys put into everything you do, because your heart is in every single thing you do. So it's noticed.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks again.
Okay, that would bring Ms. Deb Mugford, our Director of Food and Nutrition Services, up for a brief presentation.
I see your name.
Sure.
And thank you for being patient with us tonight. This has been a nice, beautiful night for recognition and celebration, but
Yeah, we did recognize
For
food
everybody who's-
services and all of their work last meeting as well, and we weren't able to have Ms. Mugford here, but she's going to give you some updates on her department.
Thanks. Is it okay if I'm here instead of there? Do you want me to move?
Jason just gave you the microphone, so you...
Oh, thank you. Hi, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. My name's Deb Mugford, Tewksbury Food and Nutrition Services. Thank you for this opportunity. I'd like to go over what, obviously, you see the My Plate. But before I begin to basically outline the My Plate, I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to all of my staff who, over the past 2 years, as you know, fed curbside, snow, sleet, rain, in the parking lots, in everywhere. I mean, I just have to say thank you and I applaud them. And we're doing great things. So anyhow, let me just start with our lovely little, if you notice, the tray. So what I wanted to show was the meals served year to date this year, which is extremely important because, as you know, right now, universal free meals is what is nationwide. So in order for me to really get some kind of accurate information, I had to go back to 2019. So when you look at what we served here this year, I'm going to tell you that there's a 100% increase in breakfast and an almost 30% increase in lunch. That's big. And like I said, that's from 2019, when they were on paid stats. Then we look at the income eligibility. The income eligibility right now is at 23%. It's about 2.5% more than it was in 2019, which you think would probably be more, right? But I can tell you why it's not more. We're going through direct certification, which we go through the Department of Public Health. We upload everything onto what we call direct cert. In a normal year, when it's a paid year, we also have hundreds of folks sending in applications. We missed that opportunity because of free meals. Folks weren't sending in their applications. They didn't need to, right? So that's why it really, if you asked me, and if I said we were in the real world, if 2019 was compared to now and we were in paid meals, it would be higher. Okay, so what's important to note too is on this side of the tray is our procurement. With Food and Nutrition Services, we have a very, very strict procurement compliance that we have to meet with state and federal. But I'm happy to say that we manage in our collaborative, we have a collaborative of about 11 districts. In our collaborative, 3 of them, as you can see, dairy, bread, and ice cream, are rollovers. So what does that mean for Tewksbury? That means that we were granted the pricing for the next so many years. Doesn't mean it doesn't increase, because it possibly could, as long as they have documentation indicating that it's the manufacturer that increased the price. Grocery, Thurston Foods, that's who we had. So it's really good transition and streamline for all the staff this year and all of us to go into that. And Fresh Pizza, currently out to bid. Well, I'm happy to say we have gills back because the kids love gills. So they won the bid. And then paper is pending. Paper is pending because if we look at some of the food costs, we're estimating anywhere from 15 to 20% increase in grocery, just like you see on your own, table at dinner. So that's about what we are at grocery. I'm not gonna lie, when we got the paper, we were all of us were sitting there with like deers in headlights because we could not believe the astronomical increases there is in paper. Aluminum, paper. So we're pending. We just met again as a collaborative saying, okay guys, what are we gonna do? We're working with the state, going through the state bids and everything like that. But this stuff is really important information. But keep in mind, before I move forward, I just have to say that for those of you that don't know, food and nutrition services is totally self-sufficient. What we bring in and what we use for our expenses. So this stuff is really important because we have to, dot all our I's and cross all our T's and make sure that we are checking all the pricing. So then, this was a really, 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 really big year of legislation. I was really involved in this, and I have to say again, I was like a deer in headlights. I learned so much this year. I am so grateful for everything I've learned through the whole process. I had no idea how the bills passed, how it went through the House, how it went through the state. So I was at the Legislative Action Conference in DC in March when the omnibus was going to be passed. We thought the free meals was going to be in there. Didn't happen. So we were all in this big area, 700 of us, and we felt like balloons that were deflated because here we are saying, yay, yay, yay. That's at the federal level. So since then, another bill was approved, and it's basically the same thing, support kids, not the red tape, that did go through, that is in in Congress right now, but it's for 1 year. And the purpose of that is to try to get 1 year to transition into the following years. That's still up in the air. Then we have the pending state, an act relative to universal free meals, which is basically with Project Bread, and I'm sure you've all heard of Project Bread. But Project Bread is a really good partner of ours. And so I'm on the Coalition for Feed the Kids, Project Bread. I went to go to the State House, and met with some of our legislators. That particular bill, 744, whatever it is, probably won't pass because it's universal free meals forever. But, so what they decided to do is do the 1 year extension. So the 1 year extension is, again, through Project Bread, but it's an extension of that particular bill. Going through, talking with legislation and everything else, it truly does look promising. It passed the House of Representatives, now it's in the Senate. It didn't originally first pass the Senate because it's politics, right? That's how they play. But we were told by the legislators at the State House and other, the lobbyists that it probably, looks very promising. In fact, I was at a conference maybe a week ago, and the CEO of Project Bread basically put her reputation on the line and said, I can probably guarantee you that you're going to get it. So we don't know. I'm not going to say that. I said to Dave, I'm not willing to do that. But she did. But anyhow, that's really important stuff. So we're really, the impact that the supply chain disruptions and everything had on our department has been astronomical. I mean, it's crazy. The poor ladies, they're ordering things, they're not getting it. Can we change the menu? Okay, let us go put the nutritionals in there so folks know what I mean, it's just been crazy. So, like I said, kudos to everybody. But between the supply chain issues, the supply chain disruptions, and the increases in price, we're going to struggle next year. I personally am a positive person, so I'm going to say we'll get through it. But other organizations are like, oh, the tsunami hasn't hit yet. But I think we're going to be okay. So I just wanted you to all to be aware of that because that's really important and that's really what's going on in school nutrition right now. So any questions on this?
Mr. Parsons?
I have none at this time. Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to move on to the next one. Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes, thank you for the information. Are we working with our Senator, Mr. Feingold?
Yes, actually, I went to his office May 17th, and he wasn't there, so I spoke to his aide.
Is he in support of?
Well, yeah. So basically, it went through the Ways and Means, and they are in support. I was so naive when it came to politics, let me tell you. And then they're like, oh no, that there's a little political ploy they play, and but yes, his aide said he was totally behind us. So. Okay.
And you said it did pass the House?
It passed the House. It went through the Ways and Means. It passed the House budget. Now the House budget sends it to the Senate. The Senate didn't pass it right away, but they're toying. They're toying with it right now. So the budget has to be passed. So we should know within a couple of weeks truly where we stand.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Russo?
Actually, you answered my question that I had through your answer through Mr. Sullivan. But I did just want to add maybe one comment in terms of the amount of meals that our food service team have served in comparison to last year and years prior. I can't say enough about the recognition and just the seeing sort of all that come together and how much they're valued,
Thank you.
for the community. I really appreciate all the efforts that they do. And so thank you for sharing that information with us.
And just for the record, so I'm going to toot their horn. It's not just the breakfast and lunch that they serve.
Yeah.
They're serving doubles, they're serving a la carte, they're taking care of alphabet snacks.
Yeah.
They're doing catering. There's a lot of things that aren't even up there.
Right.
These are reimbursable meals.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joni Smith?
I just would like you to clarify just what question I am on the one-year extension. Is that breakfast and lunch for the 22-23?
22-23, where?
So I know you mentioned that we were behind on applications for
Yes.
this year because of the way it was done. So is there a plan to, I guess, promote that so that people can get on top
We
of that?
we have a template letter ready to go, but we're just waiting to see where we stand because we're being very optimistic on where we stand with how the bill's going to pass. So we have a button that says, "Dear parents, da, 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 da," but we're holding off on it. It's already done. We're just holding off because you know what? We're looking at blue skies, we hope, so.
Then I have one more question. Do you know about how many kids in town are regularly accessing?
Regularly what?
Accessing the free lunch and...
Oh, yeah. So our participation now. So to give you an example, the seniors were gone, and the ladies were like, okay, we don't have to order that much. What happened? We're still serving the same amount of food. It's just crazy. Our participation has gone up considerably. I mean, at least 30% for the lunches, 100% for the breakfast from 2019. It's big. So, and another thing, if we lose the funding for the universal free meals, I can guarantee you breakfast is going to shoot right down again. That without a doubt. And then all districts nationwide are going to have to worry about meal debt and everything else. I mean, there's a lot that goes, it's a spiraling effect, but we're not going to go there yet because we're hoping for good things to happen. That make sense?
Yeah. My only question, were you?
I'm all set. Thank you so much.
With the rollover organizations that you're working with, will that include transportation as well?
Yep, because the way we write our bills are, so what we did is we were trying, we understand that industry's in the same boat that we are. So what we had to do is increase our minimum. So in other words, if years past they said, okay, you have to order at least $350 to get a shipment there, we may say we agree to do $500, just to help them out. And then myself, Wilmington, and Chelmsford, we kind of work with each other and work with our representative from Thurston to help them out because we all want to do the right thing. We're all in the same boat. So we'll say to Karen and Thurston, can you deliver to all of us on Tuesdays? Or, so we're all working together. It's a collaborative effort.
And I imagine before we had, the free meals, that different districts had different pricing for lunches and breakfast. How is that reimbursement working now? Do you all get the same amount, or do you
So
still
that's
get
a really good question, really good question. So right now, all meals are free, so we all get the same amount. And what's important to note on that is right now, we get what we call the summer feeding program feeding. It's a different rate from the National Lunch School Program, much higher. So we're getting a really good rate right now for everybody free meals, and that's only one breakfast and one lunch. So our rate is much higher. So if we go back to the National School Lunch Program on a paid status, it's much lower. We're probably going to get like maybe even $1 less a plate. So districts all around us are rummaging around about price increases and this and that, and everybody, we're all kind of in the same boat, and we're like, what do we do? We don't know what we do because we don't have an answer. So, you know, and I think that's where we decided to leave it. We don't know. We're not going to, we'll wait until we see what happens before we address that.
Okay, thank you so much. Feel free to carry on.
Okay. So we have that. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. This way. Not on my own computer. So I just briefly wanted to go, in addition to the accomplishments that we had, as you know, again, I can't say enough. I want to dance on the floor and tell you how great all these people are for everything they did. So naturally, we increased meals served. We introduced new menu items this year, speed scratch cooking. With the part-time registered dietitian that we have now to our team, she's been developing some more scratch cooking. And the reason why I said we want to go to more scratch cooking, because when we went into this COVID, everything was pre-wrapped, and we were on a mission, as you know, from previous foods, meetings here. We want to go to more scratch cooking, make more, homemade foods for the kids. That didn't happen because of COVID. But now we're going into it more. So with our registered dietitian and myself, we're developing all these neat kinds of recipes. We also had a part-time driver join the team, and the part-time driver is because, again, supply issues, they would drop shipping stuff to the high school, cases and cases and pallets and pallets. That's the only way that we could get through this. All staff attain the required professional development CEUs, which also, by the way, is it's a federal guideline. Let's see, we implemented a new back-of-the-house software program. This thing is awesome. It's called Titan. It's a back-of-the-house program. So what it does, from our point of view in the staffing, we have production sheets and recipes that tell them exactly what they need. Helps with the food waste. Lots of different things, all nice new recipes. And for parents and students, the information there is more detailed than the nutrition database that we have now, and we have attachments to it. So we have like the labels, so that the allergen kids will know, specifically, because labels do change. We went through, as you know, the DESE procurement review and the DESE comprehensive administration review. We updated to the website the FNS team bios because we wanted all the stakeholders involved to know who the people are in the department. So every week we have one of our staff highlighted what they like. So please visit the Tewksbury School Nutrition Facebook page and you will see. Again, visit to the Capitol and the State House advocating for school nutrition. I'm on the SNA Legislative Nutrition Committee, collaborated with several school nutrition directors throughout Mass about this whole new meal debt. I mean, as you'll know, because I think you have a charging policy on your agenda today, there's another new legislation that went through on that. I'm attending the National School Conference in July in Florida. Am I excited? No, I don't want to go to Florida in July, but. And then, again, continue my leadership role as the SNA of Massachusetts president, and remain financially independent, self-sustaining, and stable. But most important, we are feeding kids, and that's what we did. So just to go quickly through the goals, this is a goal to procure more local foods. DESE gave us a grant, so much money if we procured more local foods or minimally processed foods. Our DOD produce, whenever you see those really, really nice strawberries, that's what we call DOD produce. They doubled our account for that. So we're going to get more of that lovely stuff. We're going to increase scratch cooking, develop standardized recipes, implement, and we just started doing at the end of this year, more student taste tests, and we're going to develop some more ethnic recipes. Culinary training is one of the things, so we do a survey to the staff and say, what kind of training do you want to see? That was one of them that they wanted to see. Establish a nutrition advisory committee at TMHS. That's already in the works, and I'm proud to say Retta Smith, who is a dietitian, will be championing that. Prep for the entry of the Center Elementary School. Woo, I'm so excited about that. Continue to work with the Wellness Committee and develop a comprehensive wellness policy. We've contacted some people in DESE, and they may help us coach and get some of that stuff done for us to work on it next year. Continue to maintain the financial integrity and nutrition integrity for the program, and of course, feed kids. So that's it. Any questions? I know I like to talk. I told Dave, I can talk the ear off the corn. You better be careful.
Thank you so much for the presentation. That was great to hear.
And Mr. Sullivan?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Russo?
Yeah, no additional questions. Thank you for sharing that.
You, Joni Smith?
Not a question, but just one comment. As we move to potentially future plans not having as much free lunch and support from state, federal, whatever it might be, just keeping in mind of food insecurity planning and students that have gotten accustomed to getting that lunch and getting in line every morning and leaving their house without anything, and just thinking about that ahead of time and planning for that. That's all, but no questions. Just
That's a really good point, because I'll tell you, for doing the free and reduced applications for so many years, I can tell you, there are families that marginally miss it. And it breaks your heart, because you know that, that's a real good point. But thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Mugford, for being here. That was great.
Now we can have our Corning and STEAM labs at Tewksbury Public Schools come up to do their presentation. Ms. Garish is going to join us.
Since the microphone is over here, we will come to the mic.
Thank you.
And let's go.
Beautiful. Thanks, Mrs. Regan. Yeah, that'd be great. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Mrs. Terry O'Regan. I would love to introduce the folks who are standing here with me at the podium. We have, of course, Mrs. Alexis Bosworth, Assistant Principal of the Doing, Mrs. Charity Legvold, who is one of our elementary STEAM teachers who works currently at the Doing and the Trahan schools, and has been instrumental in what we're going to be talking about in a moment. We'd also like to introduce to Mr. Brent Lanterman from the Corning Company, and also happens to be a Doing parent, and Ms. Sylvia Jerez from the Corning Foundation, who is with us this evening, and we're incredibly grateful. So what we were hoping to do is take a few minutes to tell you a little bit about the story of Corning and its relationship with Tewksbury Public Schools. So I'd like to say we were the first that thought of this, but we weren't. Thank goodness for Jason Stamp. Actually, Brent's wife, Susie, sent me an email and said, I need to give my husband your email address, because Corning reached out to us. Previously, at the Wynn Middle School and at the Ryan School, Corning had given money for each of those schools to establish a STEAM lab and to be able to create space. Last month, we saw the bots that were done and those incredible things, and I heard members of the committee talk about, Jesus, I hope we can get some stuff going with younger students. I would tell you, Mrs. Legvold and her colleagues are doing that every day. And with help with partners like Corning, we're able to go that much further. So one of the things that we were able to do...
Just not as quick as you are today.
I talk a lot. What can I tell you? And so Mr. Lanterman said, well, we could probably get between $5,000 and $10,000 from the foundation. And so I asked for 15. And so if we looked at the next slide, so what I did was, the best thing to do is to talk to the person who's teaching the curriculum. Charity went and looked at the next generation science standards that we're required to have. We also participate in Tewksbury for the cross-district science mapping committee, so we have individual curriculum units at each of the grade levels. What she did was she then looked at every one of those grade levels for K1 and 2 for this particular thing, and looked to see what do we have, and how can we integrate a STEAM component into these, and which ones make the most sense and that are fun for kids and that the folks from Corning might be interested in helping us with. So what you see here are the kindergarten first and second grade science. Those are the science content, and then on the right-hand side we have new materials. We were able to partner and get materials from the Museum of Science, the Boston Museum of Science, through their Engineering as Elementary program. We have there's an awful lot of work with plants and animals and different traits. So Mrs. Legvold was talking, and the folks from Corning agreed, we're starting a brand new hydroponics program at the K2 level, and just so excited. You'll see a picture with the folks from Corning who are busy putting those things all together. Starting in kindergarten, we learn about Newton's first, 3 laws, and we learn about pushes and pulls, and we learn about momentum, and so we use Kiva planks, and Kiva planks look like a whole bunch of wooden blocks, but they do phenomenal things. You should see what Mrs. Legvold does with those children, and we have buckets and buckets and buckets and buckets now. And you said, you really need how many? And she says, trust me, they'll get used. And so the folks from Corning said, we trust what the teacher says, and they helped, and they're getting used. So the other thing that we have is, we have all of these materials, you need a place to put them. When you walk into a classroom, it's easy to take stuff and throw it in a closet, but it isn't. It needs to be accessible, it needs to be labeled well, so one of the things that the folks from Corning did was they helped provide money for an infrastructure, for an organizational, because they helped us with the bins and the shelves to put them on. So one of the things that we did, Jason was wonderful. He had been through and understood the relationship back and forth, and said, let's see, this is the way that we've done it before. So he helped with the process and facilitated our application. Brent then brought it to the foundation and was able to speak on our behalf on talking about, and presented and said, well, here's one of what the public schools are doing. We were so incredibly excited to hear that that our project was going to be funded, because I'm former math and science teacher, middle school math and science teacher, so I kind of geek out with a little bit of this stuff too. And so what happened was we just got boxes and boxes and boxes. We thought, Mrs. Legvold still had classes to teach. So we had Mr. Shakir was here earlier, Jazair Shakir, who was our site council chair. He organized and got some parent volunteers together to unpack boxes. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but we had Saturdays, and we had families and packing, and then we have folks from Corning, employees who came and volunteered their time to come put together our hydroponics things and read the directions. Maybe,
An entire day. They came in for an entire day. It was incredible. It was fun. It was incredible. I can't say that enough.
So one of the things that, and I think we just have one, that we want to, Corning supports STEAM education in Tewksbury. They are a tremendous partner for our children and for our teachers, and they've done it for our older children, and now they're starting with our youngest folks. And thanks to the work and the foresight of Mrs. Legvold and her counterparts, and we hope that we wind up having a relationship for a long time to come. One of the nice things is, in addition to, I think, as important as the financial donation is to us, the folks from Corning invested their time and their energy in our schools and have pledged to do so going forward. And to have folks who do this kind of fabulous work for a living, to help kids get excited about what might be, is tremendous. And we're so very grateful. And Brent, I don't know if, or Sylvia?
Just a couple words, yeah?
Just a couple words. Thank you very much for having us here today. We really appreciate the recognition and the thank you and the partnership. The Corning Foundation is the philanthropic arm of Corning Incorporated. And so with Corning Life Sciences, which is based right here in Tewksbury on North Street, it's wonderful to have the Corning Foundation partner with the Tewksbury schools on these kind of projects, as it helps us fulfill our ultimate mission in supporting the communities we work within culturally, educationally, and as well as with human needs. So, thank you for letting us join you with this special project and our future initiatives.
Yes, thank you, Sylvia. And just a couple additional comments. Certainly a warm welcome as well. Appreciate being here. The spirit of when we look for partners with the Corning Foundation, we do look for multi-year relationships. We want to build, long-term and grow relationships over time. And what a great story we have here with the Tewksbury Public Schools. We've had a couple years of grants. This is our first year with an employee volunteer event. We're talking about STEM nights and other volunteer events to get our employees who live the science every day to be able to contribute. In that spirit of continuing partnership, I'm also happy to share that we again have reserved funds for another project with the Tewksbury Public Schools. We're working with Jason and Terry and
Heathbrook.
Yes. But happy to share that we've allocated funds and look forward to another application and continuing the relationship, not only financially but also with volunteering. The last thing, a wonderful night, wanted to acknowledge all the recognition, and in spirit, I'd like to also recognize Jason, who's not here, Terry and Charity and the rest of the team. For an organization like us, you need someone with vision and some place for us to go and some place for us to work with to really put that into action. And they brought the ideas, they brought the opportunities, and it was a great experience and a great outcome. So thank you as well for your support of this partnership.
So, Madam Chair, any questions that you have
thank you
for
so
us?
much. I'll open this up to the committee. Mr. Sullivan, any?
Sure. I couldn't agree more, and thank you, Corning, and thanks to our staff. And I think of my former colleague, Mrs. Bennett, and the joy this will bring her. She was, when I first got on, a big STEM advocate when we didn't have so much, and I couldn't agree wholeheartedly more. And I think you saw it tonight. Relationships matter, and it's wonderful that it looks like you guys have a wonderful working here for our school district to the benefit of our children. So I can't thank you all enough. Hope we'll get another lab next year, and then maybe another one after that, and another one after that. And if there's anything ever that we can do as a committee for Corning, anything, please reach out, because we certainly appreciate all that you're doing for our students, families, and our staff. So thank you.
Mr. Parsons?
Yeah, so I'm a science teacher. I teach high school chemistry. So, I live your half of it. I'm just in awe that administration, teachers, community company all did something together, and we're happy.
Teamwork makes the dream work, Mr. Parsons.
And, it's something I wish happened more in schools everywhere. It's really a blessing that's happening in Tewksbury. So thank you all, truly. It's amazing work. I'm not sure how we could give back to you guys, but I did hear we have 200 seniors.
I think we have some senior interns maybe next year.
I heard we have some volunteer intern labor we could offer. But thank you for all that you all do. It's much appreciated.
Thank you.
Okay, and Mrs. Biagioni-Smith.
No, I just want to echo what my colleagues are saying. The work that you're doing with our students is amazing. It's great. I love that you plugged the Heathbrook to be able to bring some of this wonderful stuff to the Heathbrook School as well. Especially with all the changes going on, it's just nice to see some of that space that's going to open up there get used for something so wonderful. I work for a large organization that does a ton of work for the city that we're in, which is Boston. So it's great to see a company that's located here in Tewksbury give back to the community and be a part of it. And as Ms. Garabedian knows, we've hosted Cpacs in the past, Science Nights and STEM Nights, and it would be amazing to have an organization and a foundation like Corning to support something like that, because as you probably know, running those events are detailed. So having the support and the help would be fantastic, and I look forward to seeing the relationship grow. Thank you.
And Mr. Russo.
Thank you. No questions, but again, I'll echo some of the same things. I go back to what I said a little earlier this evening when Ms. Dick and Mr. Guthrie were here talking about senior projects and some of the opportunities and experiences for our high school students. It's equally just as rewarding and appreciative from my perspective to see those opportunities similar to the younger children in our district. So thank you for sharing this with us, and I agree with Ms. Piagioni-Smith that, to have it sort of on both sides of the community would obviously be fantastic, and look forward to working with you guys continuously. So thank you.
And I've just two small things to say. One, I was able to witness the inception, creation, setup, and Ms. Lev-Gold, your first year taking on
Couldn't have done that without you.
on STEM. So I think it's phenomenal to see how the program has grown. If anybody who knows, that's paying attention, knows just how much you've contributed. So, and I'm just thrilled to see this whole partnership, and I'm looking forward to see where it goes. So thank you for coming in.
Could I have two things?
Sure.
Real quick. Tonight we honored Roz Dorrance, and years ago she said to me, I was teaching writing and math at the time, and she said, Charity, your position should be science. And to that I say, Roz, we got there, right? And secondly, I would welcome all of you, anytime you want, come in and see the labs in action when there are kids in the room. Actually, you guys should come back and see that too. But come see it when they are really fully engaged. It's another world.
Yeah. Thank
And
you.
thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, and with that is now Citizens Forum. Do we have anybody in the audience that would like to speak? Okay, not seeing anybody. I'm going to move on to Ms. Piagioni-Smith, the approval of minutes.
All right. I move to approve the April 26th special meeting minutes. Do you want me to go through all of them at one time? or-
So I would like to maybe propose that we could vote together all the special meeting minutes.
All right, that works for me.
Sure.
So is there a motion?
So I move to approve all of the special meeting minutes, April 26th, April 27th, April 28th, May 3rd, May 5th.
Okay,
I'll second.
and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And no one opposed? So we can now move on to the regular school committee
All
minutes.
right, I move to approve the regular meeting minutes for May 11th.
And
Second that motion.
And all in favor, please say aye.
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 No are opposed, so motion passes. And next, submission and payment of bills, please.
All right, Madam Chair, I move to approve the payroll period ending May 12th, 2022 in the amount of $1,491,588.61.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
And this is a roll call vote. How do you vote, Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
And Mr. Sullivan?
Aye.
Ms. Piagioni-Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Russo?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well. To approve and certified in the amounts and categories as shown for the payroll period May 12th, 2022, $1,491,588.61.
Madam Chair, I moved the school department payroll period ending May 26, 2022, in the amount of $1,501,295.59 to be approved and certified in the amounts and categories as shown.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, on roll call vote, Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Mr. Sullivan?
Aye.
Mrs. Piagioni-Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Russo?
Aye.
The chair votes aye as well. For the payroll period ending May 26, 2022, $1,501,295.59 is approved and certified in the amounts and categories as shown. And Mrs. Terrell Regan.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for hanging in.
I'm going to pare down some of my updates in the interest of time. I know everybody's looking forward to the Celtics game tonight, so let me just start with, this is the season for hiring in your consent agenda, and that'll continue to be thick over the summer months. This is the time for hiring, transfers, and reappointments in our district. I would be remiss if I didn't thank our principals and all of the TTA members and staff members who serve on these interview committees, because hiring as we end a school year is one of the most important things we do. As I said, you'll continue to see filling of our open positions throughout the summer. I do want to formally announce, and they have left the room, but 3 of our administrative changes. I did send this out in a notice to parents, but Mr. Jay Harding will be the 22-23 principal of the Center Elementary School, and Ms. Terry Garish, who was up there, and you heard her mumble the words Heathbrook, she will be the new principal of our Heathbrook School. We will be counting on their many years of exemplary school leadership to help us into the next era of our elementary school and early childhood school programming. Jay and his new assistant principal, who is yet to be named, will share in the leadership of the Trahan and North Street School, and will also support our second grade staff as they build the new culture of the Central Elementary School at the start of the school year. Ms. Purnima DeMarias will be leaving Tewksbury to take on a new leadership role as the Quabbin Regional Middle School High School principal. We certainly wish her well. We're still working out the finer details of the leadership of our Doing School. Ms. Alexis Bosworth will be staying at the Doing School, and I'll update you once we have the agreement for her leadership. On that note, our administrative hiring has also begun with our interviews for our new assistant superintendent next week. The posting closed last Friday, June 3rd. We had approximately 21 candidates who were qualified. 5 to 6 are highly qualified and scheduled for interviews for next week. So I'll update you as to where we are in that process in July. Let's see. Since we were together in May 18th, we had our Seal of Biliteracy Awards here at the high school. 19 students were recognized for their biliteracy achievement. On May 26th, as Mr. Sullivan alluded to, we had our Tewksbury Memorial High School Scholarship and Awards ceremony. Well, I shouldn't say we, our generous donors in the community of Tewksbury awarded approximately $170,000 just that night to 123 of our high school students. This week is senior week here at the high school. Many events are happening in person. What a great week it is for all of our seniors. But again, we have to thank our many volunteers, Ms. Gaglione and Ms. Carriere, who are here, and our high school administration and our faculty, who really work tirelessly to make sure our seniors have a great graduation week. Let's see, STEM updates. We just heard about the Corning grant, but I wanted to just remind you, we had 2 students from the Ryan who made it into the National Invention Convention. That was Brennan Howell and Evelyn Goldstein. They placed in the Mass Invention Convention and then went off to the Henry Ford Museum in Michigan on June 1st to compete in that National Invention Convention, which included 300 inventors from across the country. While they did not place, they had a great time and certainly a great experience. And they want to thank the Ryan Pack and all of the donors, the Tewksbury Credit Union and the Well Water Connection for their donations to make this possible for them. And then you have 2 pictures aside your packet, which come from our Tewksbury Titans, our robotics team. They participated in the WPI Battle Cry 2022 event this past weekend. If you were able to see it live, I was watching it as I was running through the many emails I was catching up on, and they were quite amazing. The event included teams from New England, New York, and Ohio. The team 1474, our Titans, have been participating in this event for 13 years, and they were recognized by WPI for their longevity. They ranked 28 out of 64 teams, and they won one of the 6 judges' awards called the Phantom Fighter. This judges' award is for the team and the robot that is unusually adaptive and effective in supporting others. The Titans want to thank, of course, our Tewksbury Public Schools, the committee, and the Tewksbury Memorial High School folks who really provide the support above and beyond the usual role to help the team succeed. You have those 2 photos next to you. I provided you a photo of their trophy, but the one with the smiles on their face really tell the story. Congratulations to our Tewksbury Titans. And then just finally, a little bit of housekeeping. In your consent agenda, the last page is there in error. It's policy EFC. That should actually be in the next section marked policies. It does not require a vote, but when you get to your policy updates, that will be listed in a review and non-vote needed. That concludes my updates for tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Libby.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A few updates on from the business office. First, a couple updates on our few summer projects we're putting out to bid shortly. One being a 28,000 square foot resurfacing of the wing roof, the classroom wing of the wing roof. We're going to look to see if we can get that resurfaced this summer. We had heard we were going to be looking at difficulties in finding contractors this summer from some of the vendors we typically work with. But as late as last week, a couple of our contacts let us know that they thought if we got something out there by the end of the month that they could pull some crews together and maybe get it done for us in August. So we'll be putting some bids out shortly to try to get that work done and complete that work this summer. Another bid we'll be putting out is to do some work on the Dewing office, which would, well, we definitely have our vestibule install planned for security in the Dewing lobby area. But we want to also look at a potential minor expansion of the office area to be able to bring our nurse suite back from the locker room area where it is now in the gym. We moved it down there temporarily to accommodate a separate area for the COVID needs we had at the time. And now we want to try to bring the nurse suite back to the main office area and do some a little bit of restructuring in that area. So we're going to put a bid spec out on that work as well and hopefully get that work done this summer over at the Dewing School. Another topic we've been looking at in the office, we did an independent audit of our copier printer functionality and efficiency. It's an area we spend a lot of money on in our budget every year. So we wanted to take a look at it and have someone tell us how we're doing. A couple of the recommendations that they made, one in particular among others, was to reorganize some of our resources back into the schools and away from a centralized copy center like what we have here at the high school. Realizing that would be a major culture shift and a change in operational shift for a lot of our staff. To quote Chris Malone, this is not something we're running at. We're going to take our time, do some research, figure out, how we can function the same way we have and provide the resources that our staff needs and not, handcuff them to be able to do their jobs if it's something we do change from an organizational perspective. But it was a significant savings that they think we could realize if we moved away from an operation like that. So, we're thinking it might be time to explore this. We move into the age of one-to-one devices, less paper. Maybe it's something we can look into down the road, and we'll be exploring that during the course of the 22-23 school year. So nothing that's going to happen tomorrow, as I said, but something we are examining. We got our end-of-year audit back from our audit firm. The end-of-year report is an extensive report we file with the state on every dollar that we receive and every dollar we spend in the business office. And we file a report that has to be audited through an independent study. We got back the report this week, no findings, so good for us. Thanks to Dr. Osborne, who helped me with her first end-of-year report this year, and the transportation component particularly. So that was good news for the district. And I have to, again, Mr. Sullivan, take an incomplete on the public records request and open meeting law study. It's an ongoing process for us. We're finding it's a lot of research. We have papers that are packed in boxes and some that are still at our scanning company that we sent off to, because we're doing a scanning project in our central office. And lots of tentacles to these requests. So we want to get an approach that's going to be accurate for you folks. But we ought to be able to pull something together for the July meeting. And I'm sorry, my dog ate my homework.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, honestly, through you to Dave, I completely understand, and also wanted to thank you. I know with the move, being busy, with Mrs. Regan wearing a lot of hats, I want to recognize how much work that I have personally noticed, and I know Mrs. Garabedian has as well, as we're sort of, I don't know, short-staffed, where we used to have a superintendent, an assistant superintendent, and yourself. So it's not anything that's any rush of mine, and I do understand all of the other things that you're helping support in the district right now. So when you get it, we'll take a look at it, but please don't, there's important stuff that you're doing that's far more important right now for the district, that's going to be beneficial for our kids, especially getting that new building open, It's one thing moving the central office, but it's going to be a whole other thing when we're going to move students and staff, so thank you.
Okay.
That's it for me.
All right, thank you very much. So we can now move on to the consent agenda. Was there anything else you wanted to cover in there? You covered it pretty well with your...
We're all set on the consent agenda, thank you.
Do we have any issues or concerns with the consent agenda? Or do we have a motion to go to accept as is?
Yeah, so moved.
In a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor to approve the consent agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
And nobody is opposed, so that has passed. Okay, now we have our school committee member reports with the Elementary School Building Committee. Mr. Sullivan.
All right, we're still on time, still on budget. For those of you that have been out in the community, you'll notice something's missing outside in the Ryan School as someone that lives in that neighborhood. I am very encouraged to see just how wonderful that is going to be. I know there's a lot of people that have been in town a lot of time that were sad to see that building go, but obviously that's down. I think that worked. They were the recipient of getting some good weather. I think they thought it was going to take a little bit longer, but so that's taken place. That's obviously a big step. We are meeting tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, so I will have a further update at our next meeting.
Great, thank you.
Welcome.
And the Cpac update, I'm not sure, you had mentioned you had some information to update, or Mr. Parsons?
So I have nothing to add in addition to the presentation earlier, but I'll defer to my colleague.
Okay. So I did attend the May 19th meeting where they did, as Dina mentioned earlier tonight, reorg. They have their new membership. They do have some PAL spots open. So anyone interested in being a liaison to the school PACs, they are looking to fill that spot. And I won't reiterate all the dates she said, but they do have their final business meeting. I will remind folks that their final business meeting is coming up next week on the 16th at 7 p.m.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Russo with Wellness.
Actually, the Wellness Committee meeting that was supposed to be on Wednesday, June 1st has been rescheduled to Wednesday, June 15th. So I will have an update at our next meeting.
Thank you. And Mr. Sullivan, I think that would bring us to the policy.
Yep.
Rather than speaking on the committee, why don't we just kind of move on to item number 15?
Okay, would it be okay if I kind of do it all together? Yeah. Oh, great, wonderful. So the policy subcommittee exists, myself, Mrs. Garabedian, and Miss Brenda Regan, and I think at times it may include Mr. Dave Libby if we have some financial stuff. So we've met the last couple Tuesdays. I just want to be clear for everyone up here on the table and everyone in the community, this is not two people meeting to change policies. The subcommittees are open meetings. People are welcome to attend and join them. They are public meetings. They're not meetings with the public. They're there for the public to go and to see the work that's going on. It's still the responsibility of the 5 men and women that I'm sitting up here with today that if we're going to make any recommended changes to any policies, that the 5 school committee members solely will be making those decisions. So I just wanted to clarify that. The subcommittee is just a way for us to get the pertinent policies if we've had some things that we've realized we may want to change. When Mrs. Garabedian joined the board a year or so ago, she made a commitment to join also the MASC, Massachusetts Association of School Committees Board, and she recently, I believe you're a secretary, a district secretary?
Secretary for District 1.
So one of the things that we were talking about one day was looking at our policy and realizing we have a lot of policies that haven't been looked at since 2013. So, I mean, there's a couple hundred policies, and then there's also some policies that we're going to talk about in a minute here or recommend changes that we've been affected by that we think, that we want to look at to make sure that everyone's clear of what our role is, maybe what some other people's roles are. So what we're doing in those meetings is trying to prioritize right now. I think we did 8 policies. The ones that you see tonight for changes are just simply notice. They're still going to require the required 2 readings, Ms. Regan, correct? And then a vote?
Informational tonight, one, a first reading and then a second reading with a vote.
With the final vote. So nothing is, set in stone. If people have issues, contact myself, contact anyone on the board, Mrs. Regan. And then my last point of information is a lot of these policies are not going to change. A lot of these, we get most of our policies directly from the Massachusetts Association of School Committees, which is, I don't even know what's the agency? It's a support agency, I guess, comprised of all of the school committee associations, and they really work to get the best practices and the best policies. And I think the more successful school districts try to take their adaptation from their lead at the MASC. So, for instance, tonight we had the EFC, free and reduced price food services. There was no changes to that other than we wanted to update it because we did need to make minor adjustments to EFD, which is the meal charge policy, due to legal requirements. So in looking at that, it just made sense to look at EFC. So moving forward, a lot of them won't change. And certainly to my colleagues, if there's anything that you do look through and you say, oh, geez, I don't know if I like that, can we look at that? Let me know, let Bridget know, and we'll try to prioritize that. But I think our kind of plan of attack right now was to try to continue to meet on as many Tuesdays as we can. Those meetings are posted by Friday, Ms. Johnson, if we meet. I'm not sure if we're going to meet this Friday because Mrs. Regan is out of town. We might get Mr. Libby to do some finance ones, but we're going to try to look at the ones from 2013 first, and if any changes are needed, set aside those ones that need to be changed and the ones that basically just need to come to us to kind of refresh us in the community what those policies are that are just going to require a date change. Just do the date change. So if anyone has any questions, I'll be more than happy, Mrs. Garabedian, to answer them with my colleagues. So.
I mean, so hopefully everybody's had a chance to look through these in the packet that we received. And we just, in going through them, like Mr. Sullivan said, with EFC, it's a recommended, no changes, and just move this forward as is with just a review. And then you can see in red are some recommended changes that we either saw in the MASC, handbook, that they had some recommendations. We also looked at some other districts and tried to just pull things that made sense for our district and for our practices, and so that we had some guidelines, like Mr. Sullivan said. So I can take these one at a time. I'm not sure what is best for everybody. Do people have a lot of comments? Do you have any thoughts you want to add?
I have a couple questions, just a question on one of the policies.
Sure.
I don't know if
Yeah, please. That's a place to start.
I guess, first of all, thank you, to Mr. Sullivan, Mrs. Garabedian, and Mrs. Regan for going through these, as Mr. Sullivan said, 200 policies. This can be some dry stuff. So I appreciate the efforts here to get us, to be current with this. I guess just on the public comment at school committee meetings, I guess two things that I sort of noticed on my end in my review is that we state in the second paragraph, the Tewksbury School Committee desires citizens of the district to attend its meetings. Again, anybody can attend our meetings. It is an open meeting. Both folks in and outside of our district do attend and have attended our meetings. So maybe we should just think about maybe having it reflect that potentially. And then the second thing maybe I just noticed on this policy was that when we do our agendas and we speak on about citizens forum, we do allow, our agenda does allow for 5 minutes of speaking and longer if there's someone representing a group. So maybe the policy may be considered to reflect that. I'm not sure. Maybe just take some of that information back.
So,
that was the only.
yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I mean, do you feel, and I guess this would come back to, the agenda should really reflect the policy, I think, so.
Yeah, probably, you're probably correct, yeah.
So,
That's fair.
So I'm comfortable with having this discussion, or I think we've had 3 in the policy in the past, but this was some of the kind of issues we had, is that we had kind of 3 different places to find some information that didn't all align. So I think we certainly had the conversation that we want public comment. We want people to attend our meetings. We want people to feel heard. So this is one mechanism for that. We have several different mechanisms, but if this is the one that somebody chooses, we don't want to deter from that at all.
Understood. Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Could I just add, Madam Chair, we did look, a lot of the policies had timeframes carved out, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and when the discussion came up, and we had someone from the public there, and this is how I know I've always viewed it. We want people to be able to come and feel free to come in and voice their opinion, and the more restrictive that we make that, whether it's, we're only going to do 15 minutes or we're only going to do 20 minutes, maybe there's a time. That would have been a real problem when we were having 5-hour virtual meetings and we needed people's input because it was tough to get it through COVID, you know what I mean? And where they may have waived, you have to have an in-person meeting and you can go on Zoom. How do you be able to capture your audience outside of a simple survey when we were looking for so much information with so many unknowns? So, there's other districts that you have to sign up. You got to go 48 hours in advance. Listen, I don't want that. Some things happen and some things are unfortunate, but I just, what we took into account was reflecting who we are as a community, as a school district, and not making it more difficult for people to come in if they want to, come to a meeting and say something, so.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so any other questions,
I
comments?
actually have one more question on this one. I had read it originally and I guess I didn't have it at first, but now thinking about it, the number 1, the sub-bullet number 1 under public comment, the start of each regularly scheduled Tewksbury School Committee meeting, individuals or a group designee will sign in for an opportunity to speak during during public comment. The length of the public participation segment shall be determined by the chairperson. Just the signing in portion, I guess just clarifying that if someone doesn't sign in, does that exclude them if they're sitting and they say, oh, you know what, I think I want to talk? How does that work, I guess?
So, I mean, some of the policies that we did look at had, you used to email 48 hours in advance to speak. That didn't feel right for our committee. You know, there was some others that were, that restricted the number of people that could speak, like things like that. We didn't feel like we wanted to restrict that, but by having people sign in, it was kind of a useful tool for, you know, whoever's taking minutes as well. So we kind of thought that would be a little helpful. But I don't think that we would necessarily have a closed session, like there's a 10-minute window to sign in. I would imagine that you could sign in at any time.
Yeah.
I think. That's just my opinion.
Speaking, as long as Ms. Johnson has the
Sure.
name and address, so she can adequately, you know, have her notes accurate.
Yeah, if that's the goal, that's just what the goal of it.
That was the biggest, if I was running the meeting and someone came, I would just ask them, can you please go give Mrs. Johnson your name and address for the record, that's all. It's as much as a matter of record keeping. We certainly would not prohibit someone from speaking because, and I'm sure they would have no problem, given they have to do that anyways
State, yeah.
when they state their name, so.
Thank you.
For the record, through you, Madam Chair, we always have the sign-in there. This puts it in the policy, so people don't feel they're being asked to do something that we haven't actually always had available. Yeah.
And we can certainly wait for Mr. Parsons to come back before we do any sort of vote.
Well, we're not going to vote,
Just
it's just an informational reading.
So for the one policy that we have no change to move through, are we going to continue that on for 2 more readings?
You don't need to, actually.
Yeah, I don't believe we need to.
So we recommend no changes to EFC, free and reduced price food services. So that can just pass without a vote? Okay.
That would get a review date, you know, it was review, no changes, and it would get the current date.
Okay. Okay. That was my only question then.
All right, well, why don't I, was there any questions regarding, so that was BEDH, public comment, and just sticking, for continuity reasons, the policies for consideration to rescind on informational reading was the BEDA/E, because those are all exhibits, not policies per se, and there was a lot of conflicting information in there that we saw arise at a couple meetings with people waving around policy exhibits, and I don't think fully understanding people's knowledge of what the policy is or what the policy exhibit is, you know, and we're bound to set the policy, not exhibit. So the reason that we were looking to rescind that, so we have one clear-cut policy regarding public comments that the committee and the public and people that attend can understand what the expectations are here during public comment at school meetings.
Any concerns? Or?
No, none on my end.
Okay.
Okay. And the BJ, which is the School Committee Legislative Program, which is the same wording as MASC. It came to our attention. First of all, we've never done. We've never had. We have bipartisan politics, and I'll wait for our colleague, Mr. Parsons. Policy BJ is a school committee legislative program. Tewksbury has bipartisan politics in town, which means we don't have party affiliations. We, serve at the interest of doing what's best for the community in whatever role we're doing, whether it's here for the schools or selectmen or planning board, etc. It was brought to our attention a while back, school committee legislative program. As long as I've been on this committee, it's always been the role of each committee member, as tonight with Mrs. Mugford, for us to advocate things that are positive for our schools. We have never, in the 5 years that I've been here, ever assigned anyone personally to represent the committee. People that have already done the training, you're going to understand when you go to training, they tell you we can't do that. I can't speak for the committee. No one individually speaks for the committee. So I don't know why they have a policy that, in my understanding, could possibly put into play things for us to come in here politically to volleyball around because one person thinks it's good or one person doesn't think, and then we assign one person to represent us on behalf of the school committee to go down to Beacon Hill to work on legislation. So that's why that one, BJ, got moved up right here at the beginning. It's something that we've recognized. Like I said, we haven't done. We don't have partisan politics. I think it would be very bad for us, you know, maybe not us five, but I mean just a group in general, if these meetings came down to now, all of a sudden, if you have politically driven people, agenda people, I see more problems than it's worth, you know, so.
Agree.
Any comments?
Nope, no questions.
And Mr. Parsons, just a quick update. The BEDH/E was just the exhibit. The reason that we want to do the BEDH, that's the actual policy. That way we don't have conflicting documents. So that's all that we discussed. Well,
thank you.
So, and then the final informational reading was for policy EFD, and it's the meal charge policy. And I think if everyone looked at it, it was there was some changes, Mrs. Regan, right? Statutory
Yes.
changes.
Really, the changes were around delinquent account collections. And you can see that we crossed out, so I'll just read it. Failure to maintain up-to-date accounts may result in delay of a student's extracurricular school services that are fee-based. There's no punitive measures on anything that is free after school. And then we cannot, there can be no punitive measures around graduation for students with delinquent accounts.
All right.
So in July, we'll have our second reading of those.
No, we'll have our first reading, informational first, second, final vote.
We need MASC to fix that.
Here's our informational. We'll get back to this in July. And we'll have some additional policy at that time as well to look at.
Yes, yeah, one final note, we're in the process of looking at the animals in schools due to our officer waffles. Yes. So we need to make an update there. And we've sent that policy out to, obviously, our partners. For the people listening at home, it's actually the town's tool, I guess, for the lack of a better term, that we get that service through the town. So we obviously want the police chief and the town to take a look at that policy to make sure that we're all on the same page, because they pay for the dog, they insure the dog, that's not through the school. We're also in the process of looking at the field trips, student travel regulations. So I think 2 or 3 of those are there. One's just about there, so hopefully we'll have those 4 as well at the next meeting. And as soon as we set the next policy meeting, I will send all of my colleagues the date, and if there's something that is urgent or requires immediacy for us to look at, let me know and we'll get it on the agenda. Okay?
Thank you.
And we also discussed sharing policies with other appropriate, having the health services look at animal policy, having the Cpac look at the animal policy, just, to be kind of getting some feedback from, different stakeholders. So if you can think of stakeholders that should maybe take a look at this as we go through them, we'd love to hear it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and moving on, old business, we have none. New business?
Actually, my apologies, this came on a little late. This is a summer school update. I shared the grid with you. You can see all the services for summer schools we are running, and you should know, as I predicted, I thought it would come June 1st, but it's today we received notice that the acceleration summer school grant dollars are available again on a competitive basis, but I can tell you, the minute I put the email out to Ms. Basteri and our principals and our directors, people are scurrying to try and provide more summer school opportunities for more students. So I will update you on that in July, but this right here is shared out now and will be posted on the website for parents. These are mostly by invite for our students who are in need of additional summer school services. So to be continued, but the money did show up today. So hopefully we get to take advantage of that. Thank you.
Thank you. And new business.
Madam Chair, if it's okay with you, I'd like to go out of order and allow Ms. Bailey Mahoney, who's been patiently waiting, to provide you some information on several Tewksbury Memorial High School travel opportunities for the next 2 years.
Thank you for your patience with us tonight.
It's just me, I don't need this. So, well, thank you again for listening to me talk about trips again. We kind of decided after this past year, we had a wonderful trip to Costa Rica and to the national parks, that we at TMHS and the travel committee are ready to go full steam ahead and plan the next 2 years instead of just one. A large reason for that is we have some bigger trips and we want to give students and parents enough time to make those smaller payments and just make sure that everybody has the best opportunity to travel. So bear with me, I know it's in your packets, and I can send out an electronic copy as well. It has links to all of the itineraries and details and prices and all of that. With the travel committee, we do have representation from every department at the high school, which I think is pretty great. And what we've decided to do is we kind of been teaming up in groups. That way, we have more travel opportunities and getting more departments involved and doing a lot of cross-curricular work through these trips. So what we'd be looking at is for the 2022-2023 school year would be a trip in February to Lisbon, Portugal, Sevilla, and Madrid, Spain. And that would be our art and CTBE departments kind of co-chairing that trip, being led by Mrs. Arnold. That trip would be about $3,500, and that would focus on going to the different museums in those 3 cities and looking at the art and architecture. Having been to Sevilla and Madrid, I am very jealous of this trip. Those are 2 of my favorite cities to visit. And that is a wonderful opportunity for our art students to kind of take advantage of. For April break of 2023, Ms. Puma would like to lead a social studies trip to Hawaii, to Oahu, to do some of the historical tours and things that are offered there, like going to Pearl Harbor. There is some hiking in Diamond Head and seeing some of the Polynesian Cultural Center and some of the different aspects, kind of linking it to our social studies curriculum there. And then in May of 2023, our French department and World Languages would like to do a Memorial Day weekend trip, 4 days to Quebec City and Montreal. We've done this trip in the past. I've gotten to go. And it's a lot of fun for the kids, and they want to add a real French component to help our French students get to practice and actually use their language skills that they're learning. And then last but not least, for this school year over the summer, Mr. Burgoyne would like to lead an English trip to Berlin, Krakow, Prague, and Budapest. And kind of focus on the literary elements that have kind of risen out of those cities and those countries. And then for the 2023-2024 school year, we're having the science department would love to do the impressions of Peru, and I'm going to try to get on that trip myself if that one goes through, to look at the different aspects of the ancient civilizations there, as well as some of the scientific inventions of the Incan civilization that you can see. April 2024, the Social Studies and World Language Department is looking at a tour to France. They actually were looking at itineraries today, so I don't have all of that information yet. It's just the first time they could get together and meet. But I believe they're looking at doing Paris, Normandy, and Brittany to tie in both the French language as well as looking at some of the World War II history. And then last but not least would be summer of 2024 doing a Puerto Rico trip. Again, Social Studies and World Language kind of putting that together to look at, again, kind of historical aspects as well as the language aspects of travel to Puerto Rico. And kind of the last little bit, why we're trying to plan 2 years in advance, like I said, it provides more opportunities for students to visit different locations, provide more time for families to plan financially. If we can get a year ahead on planning, the costs are lower overall and per month. For example, the Peru trip, if we plan it now and lock in that price, the monthly payments are $198 a month versus if we wait till next year, those increase rather quickly. And then we can also get our 7th and 8th grade students a chance to see where they could go and kind of start planning. You know, maybe instead of doing just one trip in their high school career, maybe they can do 2. So the idea is just kind of get the momentum going so we're planning a year ahead and making it more financially feasible for all of our students.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments?
No,
No,
not this
thank
time.
you so much.
Thank
And we
you.
look forward to, hearing more about these.
Madam Chair, if I might.
Yes.
Well, I'm not recommending you take a vote, because this is informational only. And I think if you are amenable, it might be wonderful if you would agree to approve in theory that these groups continue to plan so that they can come back with all the necessary details, the costs, the permission slip granting and all of that at the start of next school year as soon as possible so that there can be a final approval. But with if you're in theory good for Bailey and her crew to move on, they can start to get more information out because these things do take time, and it is wonderful that we have a long period of time, but we'd like them to be able to move forward with planning, as I said, with the cost and lock that in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to open up to everybody. I personally have no issues with your moving forward. I think, there's always unforeseen things that come up. So at this time, I have no concerns or issues.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to allow for the planning and funding of the TMHS travel opportunities for the 2022-2023 school year and 23-24 school year as presented this evening.
Pending final approval with all the documentation.
Pending final
aligned to
approval of the
policy
school committee.
IJOA.
I will second that.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 And with none opposed, it passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And Madam Chair, I think I could probably speak to this one. This is an out-of-state field trip that our champs, I love being able to say that, our hockey champs go every year up to Maine, so I know it requires a roll call vote. I would be happy to make a motion to allow an out-of-state field trip for our TMHS boys hockey team on a date in December up in Maine. Date to be determined. I think Mr. Doherty explained to me that they didn't have the dates locked in yet, but it's an annual tournament. They go up and play 2 or 3 games for the weekend, so
Okay.
be happy to make that motion.
Is there a second?
I will gladly second that motion.
And roll call, Mr. Russo, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mrs. Theodore Smith? Aye. Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
And Mr. Sullivan?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye as well, so that passes unanimously.
Madam Chair, the next item on new business is the 2022 summer reading program. You've had this presentation in your packet, so I'm not going to go all the way through it. You can see that the suggested timeframes for each grade level are listed as well as links to the activity or writing prompt or what might be necessarily due when the students come back. I do want to just draw your attention, the Wynn Middle School had such success last year with a one school, one book assignment. They're doing that again this year. There's a lot of differentiation that can be had for any student of multiple needs. The book is also available on Hoopla through the public library, and the book this year they'll be focused on is Refugee. I'm going to just draw your attention to the last page, or the page before the last. Our partners with the Tewksbury Public Library are also offering several opportunities for our student readers over the summer. We hope our parents and students participate in as many of those events as they can. As I say often, summer reading is sunshine for the brain. It keeps our kiddos prepared and ready to learn when they come back, and we look forward to giving you a report on our summer reading program when we come back to school next year.
Thank you.
No vote is needed on that.
Okay, any questions, comments on summer reading? Okay, great, thank you.
Okay. And I should say, this document has already been published to the website for parents that are looking to get those books now.
Excellent, thank you. And thank you to the Cpac for providing the book.
Right.
The Win Kids. So next item here is, as of June 30th, we need to reappoint or appoint a school committee member to the Tewksbury Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee, which is a subcommittee of the Select Board. So, Mr. Parsons, you've been participating on that. I'm going to let you speak first, your interest or not for the position.
So I would like to express to the board my interest in continuing in that role, if you will also have me.
Okay.
I'd be happy to make a motion to, if there's anyone else, sorry, I don't need to jump the gun, but I'd be happy to make a motion to appoint Mr. Nick Parsons as our school committee member designee.
Do we have a second?
I would second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 And no opposed, so that passes unanimously. So we'll submit that paperwork tomorrow. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And then from here, we're looking at Mrs. Regan's superintendent contract. So, let's see, everybody should have a copy. Are there any comments, questions, anything anybody would like to add about this?
I have a comment, Madam Chair. I'd like to thank you for your thoughtful diligence in sitting multiple times with Mrs. Regan and getting to a place that I think that I know I'm very comfortable with. It sounds like Mrs. Regan is as well, so I just want to thank you for, it's not easy to do that work, so I just want to thank you for doing it. So.
Thank you. Anybody else?
No comments.
No? Okay. So do we have a motion to approve the contract as written?
Yes, I will make that motion to approve the contract as written for 2 years for Ms. Ariel Regan.
Okay. And a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and I will do a roll call vote. Mr. Russo?
Aye.
Mrs. Biagioni-Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Mr. Sullivan?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well, and it actually was a pleasure to work with you. I think it was you made the process very easy, and I'd also like to say thank you to our, Roseanne for, on the legal aspect, doing her due diligence and work on the other end. So we can sign this at the end of the meeting, and thank you all so much.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Likewise, pleasure working with you, and I appreciate the support from the committee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I add one more item to our new business? And I'm not sure if this is the right place for it, but I just want to announce that we successfully ratified and signed off on the last 2 collective bargaining and agreements we have with all of our 7 units. The TAG, our Tewksbury Administrators Group, contract was ratified and signed tonight by the school committee, and our Food Nutrition Services Agreement as well was ratified and signed tonight. So thank you very much. That's great. I mean, that was a short amount of time, but to have all 7 contracts complete before we end the school year was an amazing feat. Thank you to everybody who served on those groups.
Thank you. I'm actually pretty happy about that. I don't know about you all. Okay, and school committee matters of interest. Mr. Parsons.
I have none at this time.
Okay, Mr. Sullivan?
Just a shout out and a thanks to Ron Druin and Best Buddies and Mr. Earwood and all of the staff and students that participated in our 2nd annual Tewksbury Special Olympics day. It was a wonderful day. It wasn't too hot, wasn't too cold. It was wonderful to get out on the track and share that experience. So I can't thank Mr. Druin enough and all the support staff and volunteers. They got bus kids from the Win over and they bus kids from the Ryan, and just a great day. So thank you for that. And then obviously a wonderful, huge congratulations to all the students and families of the class of 2022. I'm very much looking forward to Friday. So congratulations, a wonderful group of students and families. So I hope everyone enjoys the rest of senior week, and I'm really excited. I think we're going to have a big crowd on Friday. It's going to be a beautiful day. So I look forward to seeing all those students and families. So.
Especially one of them, I assume.
And Mrs. Biagioni-Smith.
I have a few things. So first, I want to wish our residents, our communities, Happy Pride Month. It's a few days late, but it's a big month in that community, and just wanted to show some recognition and support there. I was a part of a flag raising in Boston, which was great, and just happy to see some of that come to our town as well. I do want to call out the Doing in North Street for a incredibly successful first go at their fun run. It is an extremely difficult event to put on, buy-in, support, and I know Ms. Garish mentioned earlier, but raising over $36,000 for their very first time is just an incredible accomplishment, and the volunteers and the families that have done all that work is just commendable. The last day of school ice cream social playground meetup doesn't have a name event is still taking place on the last day of school. Officer Welch and our PACs are working together, including the Cpac, as well as the fire department SAFE program, to put together a fun event for that last day of school for the kids. We'll host from 12:30 to 2:30, and there'll be free ice cream and some events. Ryan School hosted the Science Wizard, David Hagerman, for Extreme Science 2.0, and those kids had a blast. We got rave reviews from parents and students. My kids got off the bus and were psyched to talk about all the fun that they had, so thank you to the PAC for bringing in the Science Wizard. I also want to call out the choir group. I was able to attend the Ryan Choir open rehearsal at the school. That was Miss Leon, and they were so cute. They had a couple different songs that they sang, and it was just a great time to be in the school again and see some of these after-school clubs and enrichment events that are taking place. The fourth grade luau at the Trahan happened last week. That was awesome. I have never seen so many kids dance. Usually you have the ones that like stand on the sides and, you know, just kind of like, you know, hover. Every single kid was dancing. Every single kid had a blast. These PACs have done a great job making sure that these end of the year traditional activities that were happening pre-pandemic have now come back, and the kids are enjoying it thoroughly. I will say that there were a couple kids that were in the woods behind the Trahan watching, and I went over and I was talking to them, and they said, well, we went here last year, but we didn't get to do this, and it's so fun, and they were doing the cha-cha slide in the woods. So looking forward to doing more of that fun stuff. Heath Burke had their field day yesterday. 60 plus volunteers. I know I saw you walk through. I was there helping with their community art project, and to see 60 parent volunteers, it was incredible. It was amazing what they have been able to do. That is a well-oiled machine, that field day event, and they bring it to the Trahan, and I know that the Doing in the North Street had their field days as well. And then the only other thing I saw that there was free tennis lessons being offered, ages 10 plus. It'll be this Saturdays in July, and then they'll be taking place here at the high school. So to our families that are interested, let us know. A lot of things. I'm sorry.
A lot of events.
And Mr. Russo.
Well, geez, no, that's okay. No, I just a shout out. You know, we mentioned earlier about a scholarship night for our graduating seniors. Just the support from the community with the donations and the scholarship fundraising and efforts to be able to give, you know, over $160,000 to our graduating seniors is just a phenomenal feat. And you know, looking forward to continue to see that grow in years to come as well. And then just one last shout out to the class of 2022. I mean, this is such a fun time of their life. The last 4 years it's bittersweet, but you know, we got a great group of kids, as my colleague Mr. Sullivan said there, and I'm looking forward to Friday evening as well, graduation. Thank you.
Okay. And so for myself, I guess, careful what you wish for. I asked Mrs. Regan, you know, maybe sometime in May, is there some sort of a list of the activities? So we now have the spreadsheet, which was actually phenomenal. I hope we continue to do that, and even throughout the year. I think it'll be fantastic. So I just want to say thank you to the administration and the people, the staff, that have allowed us into their buildings for all of these end-of-the-year events, because, I mean, you can't even itemize them. They're all phenomenal. It's so great to be in the schools, show up, be able to pop in and see these things. So my sincere thanks for the schools for letting us do that. Two things I want to mention to my committee members is we need to start thinking ahead about the superintendent review, and maybe we can bring a little bit more about that. And then also the MASC conference, or Massachusetts Association of School Committee Conference, annually is held a little bit earlier this year in November. So if anybody's interested in that, can you please reach out to me, soon, so that we can get people signed up? I think there's a discount for early registration. Those two things. The other thing, I want to recognize Mr. Bernard. He's, just saying thank you to him for his, endurance in doing an additional year that I don't think he anticipated. And hopefully the committee can reach out to him a little more formally to say thank you to him before he leaves. But I just want to recognize him leaving. And then also the WIN reached out, the Cpac specifically, and just wanted to recognize the support that they're getting from the Board of Health with doing their food trucks. Some things that she said was, we can't just secure trucks. We need to make sure they have the correct permits, paperwork, food permit applications in place, compliance checks, required fees paid to the Board of Health, and set up the truck inspections for the day of the event, as well as be sure that they're going food trucks that are actually certified for the town of Tewksbury. So when they take on these events, it's really a lot more work, I think, than it seems. And the partnership with the Board of Health is greatly appreciated on behalf of the schools and for the kids to have stuff like that. So I just wanted to recognize and say thank you to the Board of Health. That's it for me. Anybody else? Matters of interest?
Madam Chair, I'd be remiss, one thing to remind and wish Our Lady Redmond the best of luck as they chase a softball girls state championship. I think they had a big win on Tuesday night, so I know they're the number 2 seed. I know they have a high expectation of themselves, and I just wanted to make sure it slipped my mind that we make sure that we support them and wish them the best of luck, and it would be great to see them get it done this year and the year where hockey did it too. So, so good luck, ladies.
Thank you. So our future school committee dates, July 20th, 2022, and then August 17th of 2022, which is also going to be the school committee admin workshop at 3 p.m. followed by the regular meeting. Then our future subcommittee advisory committee meeting dates, we have the elementary school building committee tomorrow, which was mentioned. The Cpac business meeting is on June 16th. Their safety subcommittee is still TBD. The wellness advisory committee was already mentioned. It will be on the 15th. The policy subcommittee on June 7th, 14th, and 21st. Any future agenda items that anybody would like to add for next month?
Madam Chair, can I just add one more? The reuse committee is meeting tomorrow evening as well.
Okay. And any future agenda items? All righty. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
And all in favor to adjourn at 9:21? Mr. Russo?
Aye.
Aye.
Ms. Biagioni-Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Mr. Sullivan?
Go Celtics, aye.
And I as well. Thank you, everybody, for your patience tonight. Thank you. Thank you, Jason.